Counsel to the Democrats on the House Judiciary Committee, right in the sweet spot of this story, and he joins us tonight. So, Julian, I want to put on the screen a tweet that went out today, because so much political debate does take place on social media. This was one of the trending tweets on Twitter. It's from a woman called Amy Siskin, and it says this. What the hell is that? Kavanaugh's assistant, Zena Bash, giving the white power sign right behind him during this hearing. This alone should disqualify. Now, the woman behind him, the assistant, Zena Bash, the white supremacist, is in fact not white. She's Hispanic and she's also Jewish. That's lunatic. And yet it trended. It got 15,000 likes almost immediately. What does that tell you about the state of the left right now?
Well, it tells me that our politics is broken. I mean, I think you see examples of this kind of lunacy on the left and on the right. And I think it's got no place in our politics. And I think it's an inevitable result of kind of the social media echo chamber that drives so much of politics today. And it's very, very unfortunate. You know, I agree with a lot of what Britt said. I think, and what you said. I think a lot of what you saw at the hearing, first of all, I didn't think the histrionics were helpful. I didn't think the shouters in the crowd.
To the Democratic side.
I don't think it was helpful to the Democrats, and I didn't think the repeated interruptions by Democratic senators were particularly helpful to the case that they're trying to make. I do think it reflects an anger that they have over Merrick Garland. He had 8 months before the election.
I get it.
Couldn't get a hearing. This is 2 months before the election. I think it's an expression of that anger. I do think that this entire hearing process has become completely broken, and I think it's just kind of winking performance art at this point. I don't think we get anything out of these hearings. I think it's time for the Democrats and Republicans, in the spirit that you were alluding to at the outset, the John McCain spirit, to come together and kind of fix this process. There should be an agreement between Democrats and Republicans for all future nominees on this document question about what documents the committee gets, what are subject to executive privilege. That shouldn't be something you're fighting on a case-by-case basis. That should be settled. I think this idea that justices come up and they don't really testify about what they think, what they really believe in. Do they think Roe was rightly decided or wrongly decided? I think that's all nonsense. I think that's silly. I think the whole argument that that would prejudice them in a future case, I think that somebody came up with that at some point. I think it's completely fine.
Abet's lying. It forces all of these guys, no matter how honest they are, no matter how committed to integrity they are, to lie about what they think, or to fudge, or to basically put on an ad campaign on their own behalf, which is unseemly.
Or to make it a completely empty, vacuous hearing. And there's nothing in the Constitution. There's nothing really in I think in serious judicial thinking that says that a Supreme Court nominee can't say if he thought a previous case was rightly decided or wrongly decided, or how they might approach that case. And they can at the same time speak about the value and the role of precedent.
I agree. I mean, why should I hire you to make decisions if you won't tell me what you think?
So I think the Democrats are playing a different game as well.
Okay, but maybe my guess, and I can't believe we're agreeing so much, but I'm open-minded. No, it's true. But my sense about the opening drama, the screaming, the interrupting, which I hated, was that Democrats know that he's going to get through, barring some unforeseen development, and they want to reassure their voters that they're not for it and they're doing all they can.
Well, I think they've got to show the base. I think they've got to show some energy to the base, and I think that's why I say it's kind of winking performance art. I think that they know that it's not going to change votes in the Judiciary Committee or on the floor. He's an extraordinarily well-qualified candidate. I disagree with a lot of the things that he's said and done in his rulings. He's extraordinarily well-qualified, and he'll get the votes. He'll be confirmed. But I think Democrats are playing a different game, and I think they're playing it to the base. I mean, I think what they're trying to do is make the nomination as much as possible about Trump.
Right.
They sense they have an 11 to 14 point lead right now in the generics, depending whether you pay attention to the USA Today poll or the ABC poll. And I think that they think that the debates on health care, pre-existing conditions, which Kavanaugh does not seem to be a fan of, with that case coming up to the court. I think the question of reproductive freedom or choice. I think they think these are all good debates. They think most people agree with reproductive freedom or choice. Most people like pre-existing conditions. Most people don't like what Kavanaugh said about assault weapons on guns.
If you call reproductive freedom what it is, which is abortion, do the poll numbers change?
Yeah.
Yeah, they do change. Yes,
well,
they do.
So they do, but majorities, the numbers are still, I mean, if you look at where Kavanaugh's numbers are, the numbers that want to see him approved are in the upper 30s right now, and part of it is because this has kind of become a proxy debate on a lot of issues, including abortion.
As always.
I think in our political system, we are just spending way, way, way too much time on the culture wars right now.
But wouldn't it be more helpful and edifying for all of us, and by edifying I mean the rest of us would make up our minds more thoughtfully if we could have a real debate about this stuff instead of this bizarre kabuki where everyone's speaking in code?
Yeah,
I mean, if he's against abortion, tell us why. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I am. I can tell you why. Maybe I can win you over. There's nothing wrong with that.
And you know what? And I respect that. I respect people who are anti-abortion. I respect their point of view. I don't agree with it.
Right.
But I respect it. And I think it's honestly held, and I think it's a respectable and honorable position for someone to hold, and it's deeply connected to oftentimes to religious beliefs and other sets of beliefs. And I think we should be able to have a respectful position, a respectful debate on that. I think the idea in a Supreme Court nomination that the next Supreme Court justice is hiding behind this kind of phony, and liberals and progressive and conservatives do it. I mean, Democratic nominees and Republicans do it. They hide behind this phony, we can't get into the details of it because it may prejudice a future case. It's nonsense.
I couldn't agree more. Boy, that was an awful lot of agreement for one segment.
Let's find something to disagree about.
Julian Epstein, thank you very much for that conversation.
Thanks.
NBC News had ample evidence of exactly what Harvey Weinstein was doing.